Hello and welcome to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe alongside Ronnie Dahl in the studios of Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM, our flagship TV and radio stations on a Megacast family of outlets all throughout the local area. We're also on Birmingham Area Municipal Access on Comcast, Channel 15 and AT&T, Channel 99. In Birmingham, Bingham Farms. In Beverly Hills and the village of Franklin. On other neighboring community radio stations like 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District under the leadership of station manager Ron Whittables, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio out of Avondale High School, that a service of Avondale Schools with leadership from station manager Marty Schaefer and technical director Keith Fraley, their engineer over there, keeping us on the air each and every day as we bring you all of the latest news and information about COVID-19 and other key stories all throughout the Oakland County area. And those stories also available to you online on civiccentertv.com. You just go to our coronavirus page, and we'll have all the day's top headlines right there for you. Today, making headlines, Michigan parents say school coronavirus measures are great, but don't stop sports. Reports show that Michigan parents want stringent safety measures in place at schools, but do not want playgrounds roped off or sports to be canceled. A University of Michigan study indicated that 75% of parents want daily temperature screenings, 64% want fewer children on buses, 63% want a mix of in-class and virtual learning, and 59% supported staggered arrival and departure times for students. Only 30% supported closing playground equipment, and 27% supported eliminating extracurricular activities such as sports and music. Governor Gretchen Whitmer is expected to release her Return to Learn plan any day now. It should happen this week, as was reported last week on our show when we talked to Tanya Allen, who is the chairperson of Governor Whitmer's Return to Learn Council. Also making news, lighting fireworks is legal in Michigan from now until the 4th of July. Consumer fireworks sales have been skyrocketing because most municipalities have canceled their 4th of July events due to COVID-19. You can now enjoy the fireworks you bought from now through the night of July 4th. It is legal to set them off from 11 a.m. to 11:45 p.m. You are not allowed to light off your consumer fireworks near schools, churches, or public property. And on top of that, make sure your local municipalities' rules are also being checked so that you are following not only the guidelines from the state, but from city or township or other municipality that you live in as well. Grosse Pointe leaders are urging residents to take precautions after an uptick of COVID-19 cases. Grosse Pointe has stayed stable at 48 confirmed total cases. That count has now risen to 70 over the last 5 days. City Council member Amy Flewitt says, quote, "They are concerned on two fronts. They're concerned that the cases are going up again because people feel like they have been making sacrifices. They've been staying home. Then the other thing is that they're concerned about is everything reopening. Is this going to set us back?" And that's a very valid question to be asking. A lot of these Grosse Pointe cases are being tracked back, being contact traced back to that bar in East Lansing, the Harper's, where there was where an outbreak began last week, and that's now up beyond 85 cases in that case. And what happened after that was someone from Grosse Pointe who was at the bar in East Lansing had gone back home to Grosse Pointe, had a party in Grosse Pointe, and so a lot of secondary cases are now popping up, Ronnie.
That number really grew quickly. That is one of the surprising things, but again, it goes to show how one case can lead to two, can lead to three, and then it continues to snowball from there. Were you surprised to see that number grow as quickly as it did?
I am a little surprised to see it grow as quickly as it did. I would hope that it would have staggered off after maybe a couple days and that maybe it was just an isolated incident. But considering how many people were packed into Harper's, considering the pictures we've seen from inside Harper's on that day, the lines outside, people not wearing their masks, people not keeping their social distance, it's not entirely surprising that that happened. It is surprising to see that someone that was at that party who came back, and I haven't checked back on that story to make sure that that party in Grosse Pointe that happened afterward had happened after the news had broken. But if that is the case, that makes that all the more concerning, that there is a lack of carelessness in going to that bar and then going back home after an outbreak and still not having taken any precaution, it seems, in preventing the disease from further spreading.
I think one of the things we're seeing in the younger group is because it hasn't really impacted the younger generation as much as it has the older generation as far as the severity, people are at this point are becoming much more relaxed as the state and businesses, everything starts to reopen. Plus the weather's nice, so you are able to stand outside and I think it was easier when we had to be cooped up in our houses. When it's cold out, you don't want to leave. So it's easier to stay indoors. But when the weather is nice, and because we get so few months of it here in Michigan, we feel like we need to be outdoors. So that's the first thing people are going to do. They're going to go outdoors. And then the younger generation, because it hasn't had the health impact that it has on the older generation, they kind of feel like if they're not immune to it, if they get it, they're not going to get that sick, so it's okay.
And I think that does absolutely play a factor. You come back out now in the nice weather, you want to be outside, you want to be around other people, you're used to this being a very social time of the year on top of that. And then beyond that also, everything's been closed for 3-4 months now, and everything's back and reopened, and you're trying to regain some semblance of normalcy in your life. And part of that is going to the bar, hanging out with your friends, having parties over the summer. And some of those things still need to be done very cautiously. And I think people maybe just have let their guard down a little bit, and it's causing us some issues.
So one of the things that I'm just seeing right now on Twitter is the official Dream Cruise event is also just announced that they have just canceled as well. Because again, that event attracts well over 1 million people. And so they just announced officially that Dream Cruise 2020 is not going to happen. That has been canceled. It'd be interesting to see if people still come out, though. Even though it's not the official event, I'm already seeing a lot of classic cars up and down Woodward and people sitting on the side of the road, trying to get a look at the cars and this, that, and the other. So it'd be interesting to see, even though the official event is canceled, are people still going to show up and try to have like an unsanctioned Dream Cruise?
And that is confirmed also. Ronnie, you saw that on Twitter. I have confirmed that now visually on Fox 2 Detroit's website. They updated their story from this morning. The cities that host the Woodward Dream Cruise voted unanimously today to cancel the classic car show that had been set for August 15th in the local area. And on the point that you said, I do think people are still going to go out. They're still going to cruise. They're still going to sit on the side of the road to watch the Woodward Cruise go on. I don't think that's going to stop that tradition. I think it's going to just stop the extraneous festivities that have grown over time around that event, because it's now a highly marketed local event that brings in a lot of outside vendors as well, that brings in a lot of more outside people. But I think the car enthusiasts in our local area are still going to venture out there, and hopefully will maintain the safe distance. It's a very big tradition in our local area.
This is impacting just about every facet of our lives. And this isn't just a local event, though. This has become a national event. People come from all over the country to take part in the Woodward Dream Cruise, which, again, has just been announced that the official event has been canceled.
So that and more headlines at our civiccentertv.com/coronavirus page. Ford's new program allows customers to return cars if they lose their jobs within a year. COVID-19 has created unease in the economy for sure, and so now under the new Ford Promise program, customers who lease or purchase a vehicle with Ford credit financing and then lose their job within a year can return the vehicle. Vice President of U.S. Marketing, Sales, and Service, Mark Leneve, says, quote, "We feel like right now the economy is at a stage of recovery where people want things to be back to normal. They want to buy, but they're still a little nervous about what the future holds. We want them to know we understand that, and we're here to support them in their buying decisions. So a little bit of relief for people who maybe just got a vehicle, they got a vehicle, they need something reliable that can get them to and from work. Now they're out of a job, and they maybe are not able to make that car payment every month, or at some point are no longer going to be able to make that car payment. And Ford's given them an opportunity to return that vehicle and relieve themselves of that financial burden. I think that's a really nice gesture from Ford Motor Company.
That says a lot about the company and recognizing the financial stress that a lot of families are going through during this time.
It absolutely does, Ronnie. And on to more stories at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Just a couple more there. Students at Michigan universities turn to summer classes. Michigan public universities are seeing an uptick in students registering for summer courses online. 2/3 of schools are anticipating a boost of at least 4% for one or more of their summer periods. With many universities strapped for cash, an increase for summer classes is both a relief and a sign of hope for fall semesters. Figures also show that over half of college presidents nationwide are forecasting an 11% or more enrollment decline for the fall. So as more schools put their plans out for the fall, they're also taking into account, tuition hikes may not be the right idea. We want to attract students back. We talked a couple weeks back with Oakland University about their tuition freeze. And they said one of the factors in freezing tuition for the fall semester was wanting to bring people back or bring other students in. Maybe isn't going to be the case for most universities and colleges, either in Michigan or all throughout the United States, especially now with it being forecast 11% or more enrollment decline. Over half of the college presidents nationwide are agreeing that is a pretty accurate forecast.
How do you bring students back? These are college kids. We just went through the situation with the bar in East Lansing. So even if you were to bring the kids or the students back and limit their time in the classroom, if they're on campus, they are still going to go out and socialize.
They absolutely are, and it's going to be something that these universities and the cities and the counties that they're in are definitely going to have to consider as students go back to campus, Ronnie. So that and more making headlines on civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. We update those stories each and every day, and we'll make sure that Jeff gets the story up there about the breaking news coming into us this morning from around the local area that the municipalities involved in the Woodward Dream Cruise have unanimously voted to formally cancel the event for 2020. So and we also had a headline on our website today about Ford providing relief to those who have purchased vehicles but maybe have lost their jobs and have not been able to make those payments. There are a lot of programs in the local area that are helping those who have lost their jobs or those who maybe are considering going into a different career path now that their career has been affected by the pandemic. And to talk about that and about how that works and some programs available to the people in the local area, we are now joined via Zoom by Jennifer Llewellyn, who is the director of Oakland County Michigan Works. Jennifer, welcome to the program.
Morning. Thank you, Tyler and Ronnie, for the opportunity to be here today.
Well, thank you for coming on with us. How are you? How's your team at the county doing?
We're doing well. It's been a busy, 14 weeks now for our team. We have 6 Oakland County Michigan Works locations around Oakland County, and we've fielded about 142,000 telephone calls in that time period. So very busy, but we have a great team who's dedicated to serving employers and residents around the county. So tough times, but important work.
For those who are unfamiliar, in normal times, what function does Oakland County Michigan Works serve, and how's that been modified or pivoted during the pandemic?
Yeah, Oakland County Michigan Works is part of a statewide Michigan Works system and actually part of a national system of American Job Centers. And it's our role to deliver workforce development services to residents and businesses around the county. So whether you're an individual that's looking for a job or maybe a youth looking for some career guidance or assistance, looking for an internship, or an employer that's hiring, it's our role to make that connection connection between job seekers and businesses and help businesses create their next generation of talent. Obviously, COVID-19 had a significant impact on how we do business. Our centers are typically open to the public. People can come in and use a computer lab or take our workshops. So we had to pivot essentially overnight, just like many other businesses, to deliver services virtually. So we never closed. Maybe our physical locations closed, but all of our services transitioned to virtual delivery, either online or by telephone, and the team didn't miss a beat. So
for those that are suffering from being out of work throughout the pandemic, they've maybe lost their job, they've been laid off, they're unable to get many people are unable to get their unemployment altogether, and so maybe the best solution for them is trying to find that next full-time job, or if they can get something part-time in the meantime, or retraining altogether. What are some of those programs that that Oakland County's Michigan Works is offering to help people through that process?
Sure, great question. We're hopeful that the individuals that are laid off will be able to return to their job. That's the best case scenario. But the unfortunate reality is, there may be many individuals that don't have a position to return to. So we've already started working on supporting those individuals. We have a series of virtual workshops on resume writing, job interview strategies, how to use LinkedIn in a job search, how to make a career transition. We just added a workshop on how to conduct a virtual interview effectively. And so those workshops are available. They're free. There's no eligibility requirements. Anyone can take them. You can visit our website at oaklandcountymiworks.com and register for one of those free workshops. We're also offering one-on-one virtual resume assistance and interviewing assistance. So individuals that are interested can call our offices and schedule an appointment to speak with the career advisor one-on-one. We can take a look at your resume and offer some suggestions and guidance on how to improve your resume and make you more marketable. We've also resumed training. We have access to several different federal and state job training programs to help offset the costs of tuition for individuals that are laid off. We have some specific grants right now for individuals that have been laid off from the retail sector. We have a youth program for 18 to 24-year-olds that might be looking for a career transition. So for youth or adults that might be in need of retraining to pursue a new career, we have a great team that's available that can coach you through the process. We can see if you're eligible for those training dollars, and then work with you so that you can take those courses online. Many of our community college partners, university partners, and training school partners have transitioned their training to online training. So a lot of resources available for unemployed workers to assist them through this time and prepare them for what's ahead.
Jennifer, one of the things that we're seeing now is everything is virtual, but virtual is still not the same as in person. You don't get that connection per se. So what tips would you give to people if they do have to do a virtual interview on how they can come across and avoid some of those technical glitches that we see so much of?
Yeah, I think we all miss that human element, that human connection. And virtual interviewing has obviously increased in recent years, but this pandemic has really caused a significant increase. So, we're coaching individuals, making sure that you're testing your technology in advance, that you have a strong internet connection, that your sound is clear and stable, also making sure that the lighting is appropriate. We all want to look good on camera. So, making sure that the lighting is good, making sure that the angle of the camera, and then decluttering the space behind you, making sure that there aren't things that might be inappropriate or just not professional, that it's a clean appearance. And then, making sure that people are dressed professionally as well, and making sure that their appearance comes across just as it would in in-person interview. So, preparing yourself the same way for a virtual interview as you would prepare for a real interview, an in-person interview. So, preparing questions, preparing your responses, having your resume in front of you so so that you can reference some of your skill sets, and just being very organized and prepared. So our virtual interviewing workshop will we'll walk folks through those tips and strategies.
Jennifer Llewellyn with us. She's the director of Oakland County's Michigan Works program, with us on the Oakland County Megacast on community television and radio stations all throughout the local area. We're also thankful to be on the Facebook page of the West Bloomfield Township Clerk's Office today, and thank them for being with us and encourage you to continue working on filling out your U.S. Census form. You have until the end of October to do so. So Jennifer, a lot of these interviews are moving to virtual. We've talked about some of the ways that you are encouraging people involved in the Michigan Works program through Oakland County to prepare for those interviews. Psychologically, going into the interviews, you got to prepare yourself as well, because there's a lot of pressure there. You're trying to get a job, and especially in these times, you really want to get that job and nail that interview. What are some things that your team is doing to help prepare potential employees mentally going into these interviews, with them being virtual rather than in person?
Yeah, being unemployed, it's stressful. It's ranked right up there with, divorce, death of a family member. And I think sometimes until it happens to you and your family, you really don't understand the magnitude of how scary and overwhelming job loss can be. And so you couple the stress of that on top of a pandemic, and it can be overwhelming. So we do spend a lot of time coaching individuals with, how to present themselves in a positive light despite what's going on, to make sure that they're coming across as a team player, that they're coming across as prepared to do the job. And then, if there are significant barriers that folks are facing, making sure that we're connecting them with the right resources, mental health resources, because, I'll be honest, we've come across many folks that are just really struggling right now emotionally, and trying to find their way through a job search on top of a pandemic can be overwhelming. So, our team is prepared and happy to help folks navigate the job search process.
So one thing with this pandemic, it's not just the individual that's out of work. We're having a lot of issues with employers. And now as they're starting to reopen, they're having a hard time getting the employees to come back, or just finding employees, because so many are actually making more money on unemployment. So what are you telling the actual employers?
That's a great question, and we fielded several of those calls. The additional $600 of pandemic unemployment assistance will end at the end of July, and so many employers have shared that they're concerned about their ability to get folks to come back. If they have an employee that they've called back who's refused to return, they can report that individual to the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency. So we do coach them through that process. And we also encourage them, to connect with their legal counsel to determine, and human resources to determine, some of the intricacies of folks that might have been exposed. There's just so many elements to that right now. We're also assisting those employers with posting their jobs. We've set up a job board on the Oakland County Michigan Works website that features many of the companies that are hiring right now. There's an assumption that maybe companies aren't hiring, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The state of Michigan has also enhanced the Pure Michigan Talent Connect, which can be found at mitalent.org. And they are also featuring many companies that are hiring at this time. So, we're working with employers that are hiring to make sure that their positions are featured and posted. We're sharing them on our social media platforms. We're encouraging individuals to apply. We're encouraging individuals who are available to return to work, because we don't want their unemployment benefits to be jeopardized.
We're being joined by Jennifer Llewellyn. She is the director of Oakland County Michigan Works, with us on the Oakland County Megacast on our family of stations all throughout the local area. So you're interacting, your team's interacting with a lot of potentially very eager and available candidates for a lot of open positions, and these businesses that are seeing employees that were laid off that maybe don't want to come back to work, or have retired, or they have vacated the positions altogether, want to bring people in that are eager to get back to work and are going to be team players. Is your organization able to help them get connected with these eager and available people that are well qualified for that, or is that still something that you're helping these companies navigate through the searches so they get to these people?
Yeah, that's really our role, is connecting residents and employers together. So, we're doing that through, we have a business services team. It's a team of about 25 trained staff that are across our 6 Michigan Works offices. And they're working every day with employers, whether they're hiring or laying off or need to retrain their current workforce, or, they're recruiting a new team, working with that business community to identify, what are those positions, what does the job look like, and what does a candidate look like? And then we're making that connection with job seekers. So, reaching out to them virtually. We have, several thousand folks that come in, usually physically, to our offices each month, but, now they're visiting us virtually. So we're making that connection, helping employers find the right candidates, and then also helping them, be creative. How they find job seekers right now is different than maybe how they found job seekers 3 months ago. So, our business services team is there to support the employers with no matter where they're at right now.
Jennifer Llewellyn, the director of Oakland County Michigan Works, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. So you mentioned earlier, Jennifer, that these programs are free and available to people in the local area in Oakland County. Is this in particular program just available to Oakland County residents, and are there other similar programs in neighboring counties like what you're running out of Oakland County?
The Michigan Works system is a statewide system, so no matter where you live in Michigan, you can connect with the Michigan Works office. We have a 1-800 number. It's 1-800-285-WORK. If you call that 1-800 number from any location in Michigan, you will be automatically connected to the Michigan Works office that's closest to you. And also michiganworks.org. You can go in and enter your zip code in and find an office that's closest to you. So, many of the services that we have available are unique to Oakland County. For example, we just launched a financial coaching program, and that is unique to Oakland County residents. So any individual in Oakland County who needs some financial coaching or assistance, they can contact one of our offices or visit our website and schedule an appointment for one-on-one confidential virtual financial coaching. But the services I mentioned earlier, the employer services, the virtual workshops, the one-on-one assistance, the retraining funds, those are available statewide at all of the Michigan Works locations.
So if I was unable to get in on one of the virtual workshops, you have so many great topics. Do you post them for people to go back and view them later?
We do. We have recordings available. We do encourage people to participate in the workshops. They're interactive. The way that we've set them up is individuals can ask questions. They can engage with the presenter during the workshops. But if they're unable to participate during the time slots that we've made available, or maybe they have limited access, they can listen to those workshops. Or as I mentioned, call one of our offices, talk to one of our career advisors. We are seeing a pretty high volume of calls. I think I mentioned earlier, we've had about 142,000 calls in the last 14 weeks, many of those around unemployment questions. So if you don't get to someone right away, just be patient with us. We'll definitely call you back.
Jennifer Llewellyn, the director of Oakland County Michigan Works, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. In terms of helping those Michigan workers in Oakland County who are still seeking their unemployment, a lot of them have not been able to get their checks. Has Oakland County Michigan Works been able to help them at all in expediting that process and at least getting some communication going? I know that they've been in contact, a lot of them, with their local state senators and their local state representatives who have been helping them through the process, but everybody's kind of been involved in the community with trying to help these people at least get communication from the UIA. Have you been able to help them get any progress in that?
Yes, we have. Pre-COVID, Michigan Works did not have access to unemployment insurance benefits. We're a separate organization, a partner organization. But pretty early on into the pandemic, the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency reached out to us and asked for some additional assistance, some additional hands on deck. And so the Michigan Works system statewide identified about 500 staff who were trained on how to take unemployment claims, how how to reset passwords. And so now we have limited access. We can assist individuals with filing a claim. We can assist them with resetting their passwords. We can assist them if their identity is on hold and they've submitted their documents, we can assist them with that. And so that's been really helpful to be able to support the unemployment insurance agency through this process. If a person has, significant identity issues or eligibility issues or payment issues, they will have to connect with the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency. Our team in Oakland County, I think we've been able to unlock about 17,000 accounts. So, we're happy to help them through the process. It's been an overwhelming period for the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency, and we've been able to help them just a bit, and we're happy to do that. And I know many of the residents are very grateful to be able to reach our team and speak with someone and be able to help them through that process.
Jennifer, what is next for Oakland County Michigan Works? The pandemic, a lot of things have changed for a lot of companies and a lot of businesses. A lot of virtual classes and workshops have begun to be under operation, like you've said, for Michigan Works in Oakland County during this pandemic. Anything that you've picked up during the pandemic that's going to become a regular part of what Michigan Works in our county does going forward?
Yeah, that's the exciting part of this is, we've quickly had to learn, what we can deliver virtually. And, the virtual workshops in particular have been very successful for us. So I think that that's something that we will retain moving forward. Just some of the new technology that we've put in place to be able to connect with our job seekers through Skype and maybe reduce, their travel into our locations. We've definitely been more innovative in the use of technology, our social media platforms, our website. So we're excited to move that forward, but we also miss seeing our customers and engaging with them, person to person as well, and making that human connection. So hopefully when the time is right, the centers will physically reopen. Again, we've never closed. We've still delivered services throughout the entire time. But, hopefully when it's safe for our staff and for our customers, then we will physically reopen our locations as well. But, we're excited to reconnect with our job seekers in person, our employers in person. We're looking at a virtual job fair in the future, hopefully sometime in July or August. So there's exciting things ahead for us.
Jennifer, anything else you'd like to say or anything else you'd like to touch on before we let you go today?
No, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and we're here to assist residents, no matter where they're at in their job search. If they're just not sure where to start, feeling overwhelmed, I hope they'll reach out to us at 1-800-285-WORK or visit our website at oaklandcountymiworks.com.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today. Jennifer Llewellyn, the director of Oakland County's Michigan Works program, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. And Ronnie, a lot of great programs that they're offering to unemployed workers, to those workers who are maybe looking for a change in their career, and those who are looking to maybe take a different route after the pandemic and do something different.
The other good thing about some of their workshops and their information that they're providing is allowing people to look at different ways to explore new opportunities. LinkedIn is a great tool, but if you don't know how to use it, it doesn't do much for you. So a workshop like that could really open up a door to a great job for you.
And what was really eye-opening to me also was that they've been able to have some significant help and actually a connection to the UIA, to the Unemployment Insurance Agency, and helping some of these unemployed workers who have not been able to receive their benefits, or at least communication about that, move the needle forward. That was a very welcome surprise to me from that interview.
I think the worst part for people is not being able to get through to actually talk with anyone. So you can email or go online as much as you want, but until you have someone that can actually explain to you what is happening, even if they can't fix your problem at that point, you just want someone to talk to. So for them to be able to connect the two, or even to fix that problem, has to be a relief to those 17,000 people.
Absolutely, and you want that peace of mind to at least know that, okay, it's delayed. My unemployment checks are going to be delayed, but they're working on it. It's at least coming down the docket at least, and somebody's looking at it, and I have the understanding that that's happening, instead of wondering, where in the process you are at all. I think that gives a lot of people the peace of mind that they need to at least not be relieved of the situation necessarily, but to know that it's at least in progress and it's getting there and they can have some hope.
Communication is key.
Always. Ronnie Dahl with me in the studio. I'm Tyler Kieft. We'll be back in just a moment, and we'll speak about unemployment and other key issues with one of our state senators, Jim Randstad, up on the program next. You are watching and listening to the Oakland County Megacast on a family of TV and radio stations.
Hi, my name is Kurt Lawson, and I'm the Public Information Officer for West Bloomfield Township. We wanted to reach out to you, our older adults, to provide information that you may find useful during this difficult time. We want to ensure you that West Bloomfield Town Hall, our Waters and Utility Department, West Bloomfield Parks, and our police and fire departments continue to work hard on your behalf. Information and resources can be found on the Township website, the police Facebook and Twitter, or call West Bloomfield Parks COVID-19 Help Hotline. Please remember to keep your social distance of at least 6 feet, wear facial coverings when you leave your home, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap. These precautions will help keep you safe during these difficult times.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faust, the Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. The most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of illness is to wash your hands thoroughly and often. Follow these 6 easy steps every time you wash your hands. Step 1, turn on the sink and wet your hands with warm water. Step 2, apply soap to your hands and lather between your fingers, under your nails, and the front and back of your hands and wrists. Step 3, wash your hands by scrubbing them together for at least 20 seconds. Step 4, rinse your hands with warm, clean water. And Step 5, dry your hands with a clean cloth towel, a paper towel, or hot air blow dryer. If you're using a cloth towel, make sure to change it often. For handheld faucets, turn off the water using a paper towel instead of your bare hand. Step 6, if you're using a paper towel, throw it away. Practice healthy habits like washing your hands after coughing or sneezing into them to keep you and others healthy. Go to oakgov.com/health or call Nurse on Call at 1-800-848-5533 to learn more.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast on a family of TV and radio stations all throughout the local area. On Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99 on Civic Center TV in West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, Orchard Lake, and Sylvan Lake. Also on Birmingham Municipal Access on both of those stations as well. In Birmingham, Bingham Farms, Beverly Hills, and the Village of Franklin. We're also on radio stations including right here on 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio, that a service of Avondale Schools with operations out of Avondale High School. Today, we're also graced by the West Bloomfield Township Clerk's Office being on their Facebook page via Facebook Live, when we thank Township Clerk Debbie Binder and her team over at the Clerk's Office for inviting us to be on their Facebook page again, and remind you still have time to fill out your U.S. Census. The suburban areas of Detroit are doing fantastic right now in filling out their U.S. Census forms. The numbers are looking excellent according to our local clerks, so keep up the good work. You still have a lot of time to fill out your U.S. Census. You can do it all online, and if you have any questions, contact your local Clerk's Office and they will help direct you into the right resources. So a lot of big issues in the local area lately. Unemployment's been probably the biggest one on the forefront. Also some senior issues as well. What's going on in our nursing homes? COVID-19 patients have been placed in nursing homes alongside the nursing home patients in separate areas, but they're all in the same facility. And there's legislation in place that that's aiming to remove that from the status quo. We have Senator Jim Runestad with us. We'll have him on in just a moment with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. We're just standing by with Senator Jim Runestad. But a lot of these key issues are things that are being addressed now at the state level, because they were put in, a lot of them, as stopgap measures, and some of them worked, some of them didn't work. There are mounting issues from them, and there has to be solutions put in place to solve those issues, and then we can argue about the right or wrong of it later on.
one of the things I think that is even coming to the COVID-19 pandemic in the nursing homes has helped highlight one of the issues of having cameras in the nursing homes. Like, if my loved one is in there, can I put a camera in their specific room to be able to not only watch what's going on, but also to communicate? I know that was an issue prior to the coronavirus, but it's really kind of picking up steam now because of the limitation of the visitations.
It absolutely is, Ronnie, and one of the leaders on the forefront of that issue and more is Senator Jim Runestad with us from Michigan's 15th District. Senator, welcome back to Oakland County Megacast.
Thank you. I'm always happy to be back.
So how are you? How's your team been?
Good. They are still dealing with a lot of unemployment issues. It tends to be consuming all of the time. The office has every spare minute. They're still trying to process through the unemployment claims. And there's just heartbreaking stories that they continue to tell me of people who have, for all this length of time, are not getting their checks. So that tends to be a real issue. But we've had some good victories that were really a joy to see occur before a session ended. And one of them was getting out of committee the nursing home videotaping bill. As you just mentioned, so many of these seniors still cannot see their loved ones. They don't have that opportunity, and this bill that came out of Health Policy Committee says that the nursing homes have to permit the family to allow a camera to be put in that would be put in by the family that the resident wants in order to communicate with their loved ones and also to ensure that they're not getting abused. And I've indicated and talked about this in committee, how many hundreds of videos you can watch online of seniors in nursing homes who have been horrifically abused. I was trying to get to the end of them. I was scrolling through, and it was hundreds and hundreds. I couldn't get to the end. And it's horrifying. And these are either in the 5 states that permit the videos to be utilized, where the video comes from, or families are putting in what's called an illegal video. It's a hidden video. The problem with the hidden video is even if they capture horrific, violent abuse, is in most cases it's not permitted in a court of law because it was an illegal tape. In the 5 states that allow the videos, those that capture this abuse can be used in the court of law. So Michigan does not require the nursing homes to allow the cameras to go in, and very, very few in the state of Michigan will permit a camera to go in. So a isolated senior alone in a room that could be horrifically abused is not permitted in most cases to have a videotape. So that's what this bill will do. If there's another resident in the room, they'd have to get permission from that individual. There's a lot of privacy language that we're putting in there. So it's going to be a very, very good bill, a model bill that I expect will be passed off the floor of the Senate when we get back, and then over to the House. I believe it will be passed there, and I also believe that the governor will sign it.
And it gives these families some peace of mind also that their loved ones are being protected. They have the ability to protect their loved ones, and it gives them a sense of security as well, because yes, they're in these facilities and they're getting hopefully the care that they need for whatever medical issues they may be facing, but they don't really know. And if they're not able, especially in these times, to visit and see and physically know that their loved one is okay, this gives them that extra ability. So that's still in the process. We'll keep up on that and make sure that we continue to update our audience on what's going on with that bill. There's also another bill that recently went through the Michigan Senate Bill 956, passed 24-13, that would prohibit COVID-19 positive patients from being placed in nursing homes. To your knowledge, what would that bill do to solve the issues that have been associated with putting COVID-19 patients in nursing home facilities?
Well, the bill would require that all COVID nursing home patients be put in a separate unit. a unit that's either underutilized or has been closed. This is what Florida did in the majority of its cases, is they required that a individual who was transitioning from a hospital who may still have had COVID or was transferred to the facility that had COVID had to go into a separate unit that was just for COVID nursing home patients. Then you have an isolation of the issue all in one unit. What Michigan did is they said they're going to have regional hubs where if you have a census of under 80 individuals, 80% of your capacity, that you can set up a regional hub, but the regional hub can take in the healthy with the unhealthy, and they had rules that simply made no sense. I mean, if you have a ventilation system that is for the whole unit, it doesn't make any difference if you build a wall between one hub or one unit and another, because you're still going to spread the disease. So hospitals have separate ventilation units, the nursing homes don't. And what Florida did resulted in a vastly better outcome. They have approximately 150,000 patients. They've 10 million population. We have about a 10 million population. They have 150,000 nursing home patients. We have about 38,000. But we had more deaths than they did. So they have 4 times as many population, and the numbers are changing constantly. But the last I looked, we had over 2,000, and they had around 1,800. So their policy made a whole lot more sense, and that's what our bill that we've passed out of the Senate is going to require the state to do, is set up a separate unit so that the COVID positive patients are not put in with the non-COVID patients.
And part of that's also brought up, that issue is also brought up a separate issue of visitation, because with COVID-19 patients in these facilities, you don't want people visiting the COVID-19 patients because they're potentially going to pass the disease on, and then it gets outside of the facility potentially. And with that also, you're not going to be visiting the nursing home patients because they're in a similar facility. Have you been working on anything coming up thus far that would allow people to be able to go into these nursing homes and visit their loved ones despite these issues that are at hand?
Well, I think that if we first off separated the COVID patients from the non-COVID patients, we wouldn't have this terrible spreading that we've been having. So this bill that we passed is going to, I think, solve that problem. It will no longer be an issue when we've separated those two out. Then the patients who have not had the exposure to COVID, if there's a safe way of having a visitor come in and see them, we should explore that. Obviously, it has to be done safely. But in the meantime, I really would like to get as fast as possible this law passed so that the family members can at least communicate electronically with their loved ones. They literally can zoom in the loved one and see what kind of medication that the individual's taken. I've had people contact me recently with loved ones in a nursing home and said that the stories are just beyond heartbreaking of abuse, of neglect in the nursing home. And one lady said her father dropped the phone because he was too weak to hold it. And she went to the nursing home. They wouldn't let her in. She started breaking the door down with her body. They finally let her in. She said, "I am going to see my dad." She went in. His teeth were all broke out because he'd fallen out of bed twice. He was in severe pain. They were giving him like an aspirin for excruciating pain that he was under, and he was supposed to have a real strong painkiller. She promised him he would never undergo this kind of thing. He died the next morning. And that's the kind of stories that I've been hearing coming out of the nursing homes. So we've got to get the camera protection put in there. And then if we could separate the COVID from the non-COVID and then safely get the visitors in, these are all things that we have to get done right away.
Jim Randstad with us from Michigan's 15th District. He is one of our state senators in the local area with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Senator Runestad, you recently introduced a resolution which would allow electronic data to be exempt from search and seizure without a warrant. Can you explain a little bit about what is in that resolution?
Yes, I would say this is a very, very big victory for the people of the state of Michigan, and I have put that in over the last 2 sessions, so for the last 4 years, and it passed unanimously out of the House 4 years ago, and then 2 years ago it passed with 1 no vote out of the House, came to the Senate, and never got through the Senate. So now it has, I put it in the Senate. It got through the Senate committee unanimous, through the Senate unanimous, went to the House, went through the House unanimous. So it is going to be on the ballot in November. So it's very exciting. And what it does is it says that there is a warrant required to access a person's electronic data and communications. So everybody's cell phone, their computers, all of these things, law enforcement cannot go in and access without having a warrant. And this was passed in Missouri in 2014 with 75% a vote of the people. And a number of years ago it was passed in New Hampshire with 82% vote of the people. I believe it'll pay us in similar numbers, maybe higher here in the state of Michigan, because there's too many examples that I have read about of state agencies and even federal agencies working with state agencies that have been violating the Constitution and just go snooping through our personal information on our electronic devices. Under the Constitution, they're not permitted to do that on our property and our personal effects. But since it doesn't say electronic, there's a lot of departments who have been looking at that as permissible to be able to go in and start snooping around without a warrant. So I really believe this is going to make a major, major difference here in the state of Michigan to make sure that this is not occurring.
Senator Jim Randstad from Michigan's 15th District, state senator with us on the Oakland County Megacast. This resolution would forbid use of electronic data without a warrant in this case. And will that include facial recognition software as well, or is that not included in this because it's not personal data? And what are your thoughts on using facial recognition software as a means to bring people in for alleged criminal activity?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, if they were getting that information illegally per this resolution, that would be a legal problem for them in terms of criminal illegality. What's currently happening with facial recognition is they have snapshots either from a store that had an individual break in, something along those lines, and then they use that to sort their database of information through the criminal records and see if they can make a match. So they're taking either the information that was from the scene or that they currently have on their database, and they're doing a match, seeing if they could do a match. There was a recent case of an individual who was arrested based upon the facial recognition, and they got it wrong. The guy had an alibi and was obviously not the perpetrator. And in that case, the police department certainly muffed things up, because the first thing they should have done is said, okay, the fact that we have a match on this doesn't really mean anything if there's exculpatory evidence, such as does the individual have a alibi? Well, they never even asked about his alibi. So it's troublesome in terms of its ability to identify certain groups of people. So I think it's something we have to be very cautious about. But apparently they're making these matches based upon previous arrest records. That's what I understand. I'm going to have to investigate this further, because this gentleman the article I read said did not have arrest records. So how did they make that match? So there's something I'm going to have to explore more deeply. I'm on the Judiciary Committee, and I'm sure we'll be asking some questions.
So, Senator Randstad, on that note, just a follow-up question: do you believe at this juncture that facial recognition software and technology is reliable enough for law enforcement agencies to be using in apprehending alleged criminals?
Well, this raises the question right now whether their database is a workable solution, because what they told us is this is not real-time facial recognition where they're tracking people walking around the city. They said what it is if there's a crime committed and say the video camera at, say, a party store captured an image, that they could match that image with their current database of individuals who've been previously arrested. So they have those faces, and that's all that this could be used for. But if that's the case, how did they go in and arrest an individual who, at least the article said, did not have a arrest record? So I've got to get to the bottom of this and find out, are we getting a lot of smoke blown at us, and we need to, eliminate any possibility of this program? These are things we're going to be exploring. I'll be talking to the chair of the committee and see what we can put together in terms of an investigation.
State Senator Jim Randstad from Michigan's 15th District with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Senator, just another couple minutes before we let you go. Anything else you'd like to touch on before we say goodbye today?
I just want to say how proud I am of my colleagues in the legislature for 110 members and 38 of the House and 38 members of the Senate to vote unanimously to protect the personal electronic data and communications of the citizens of the state of Michigan. Is one of the most exciting things that it is the most exciting thing that has happened since I have been in the Senate in terms of bipartisan. Let's get this done for the people of the state of Michigan, and I'm very excited that people are going to have an opportunity in November to pass this.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today, Senator Jim Randstad.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure. Our state senator from Michigan's 15th District with us on the program. And Ronnie, some key issues, and he mentioned bipartisan action being taken on the exemption for electronic data without a warrant. And in these times, with our data being online being taken in by companies like Google and Facebook and sold off, there's a lot of concerns with what we're doing online, what we're doing on our cell phones. We're carrying them around with us all day, and maybe they're being used for suspect reasons. There's a lot of concern behind that data and how it could be potentially used against us in a negative way. And maybe that bill, and that will be on the ballot as well, will help to solve that issue.
This is really kind of a touchy issue for people, but we have to remember, as society and technology changes, our laws need to change with it. Back in the day, your cell phone was a flip phone,
yeah,
and it did not store all your personal information. Now, this phone is a computer. It has your banking information. It has your private information, your health information. Your whole world is tied up in this cell phone. And if someone gets that, that's access to not just one part of your life. That could be access to all facets of your life.
And you think about also all the data transmissions that you're making throughout the day that maybe are unintentional. I mean, there have been times where you say something in the vicinity of your cell phone, you have an app open, and it has access to your microphone, and all of a sudden you mention some kind of a product, and a few hours later you have an advertisement for that. So if there's that information being transmitted electronically just in normal times, imagine what law enforcement agencies may have access to if they're able to just have carte blanche over your electronic information that could potentially put you in a precarious position where you are alleged of a crime, and even in a case like we saw in Farmington Hills recently, alleged of a crime you did not commit.
It's going to be interesting to see how the voters actually go forward with this? Is it going to be a huge support, or is it going to be down the middle, or is it going to fail? And we won't find that out until November. But I think, too, coming out of a pandemic, there are so many other issues that normally we would have a bill like this kind of take center stage. But with the pandemic, so many of these topics are kind of being pushed to the wayside. So is there enough time for the public to really understand this before it hits the ballot?
Yeah, they have until November, and there's a lot of information I'm sure that will be coming out about this in the next few months. Bipartisan support in the state legislature, as we heard from Jim Randstad, our state senator from Michigan's 15th district. You are watching and listening to the Oakland County Megacast on our family of stations, which include Birmingham Area Municipal Access and Civic Center TV, both on Comcast Channel 15 and on AT&T Channel 99 and their local government, public access, and education stations guide. You're also listening to us on our family of radio stations, and we'll pause now for station identification. You're listening to 89.3 WBLD, Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield, Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, 88.1 WBFH, Bloomfield Hills, and WAHS Auburn Hills, WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio. So a lot of different municipalities in our coverage area, and a lot of different municipalities putting different things in order now to help local businesses who are coming back out of their shutdown to have a strong restart. And they're also putting other things in place as well to prepare the city for their cities and townships for after the pandemic. And joining us now to talk about one of those municipalities in our local area is Robert Kalman. He is the mayor of the city of Keego Harbor. Mayor Kalman, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, Tyler. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? How's your team at Keego doing?
We're doing great. Really doing well. Hey, Ronnie.
Hey, Mayor. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Neighbor.
So as a lot of people know, I live in Keego Harbor. We've been here. We're one of the original owners in our community, and we love Keego Harbor. It's a small community, but it's a very close-knit community. And Mayor Kalman, I know that you've done a lot to try to support the reopening of Keego and our businesses. Talk a little bit about that and how you see it going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Ronnie. It's a good question. With our last council meeting, I think it actually was in May, Gino Santia, who owns, of course, Gino's, a very popular restaurant here in Keego, approached and asked if I'd consider amending the ordinances to allow for extra seating outside of the restaurant. I think a lot of people know that when Governor Whitmer allowed for the reopening of the restaurants and bars, there was a limitation from the health department as to, I think, 50% occupancy inside. And so Keego Harbor, it's a great community where we have a lot of outdoor activity. And so we thought what would be better than increasing the outdoor activity and allowing the restaurants and bars to expand into a safe area so we could help them. If they lost 50% inside, let's find some space outside where they can set up some tables. And we did that, and I put an executive order out. The council ratified it at our last meeting. And so it's real simple. All a restaurant owner or a bar owner has to do is go into City Hall with a diagram and some plans as to what they want to achieve with their outdoor seating. Our city planner, we work with Wade Trim. They review it. They're expediting the review. And so far, we've had some really good feedback from the owners and some of the residents who've been able to sit outside and enjoy, a meal at Gino's or at the lodge over on Orchard Lake Road or El Camino. Yeah.
How long do you anticipate that that's going to be in place?
The ordinance we wrote was for the end of October. I'd like to say it would go indefinitely, but come November, it's going to get a little cold out. But and we'll see. We'll revisit it, of course, next year, and we'll see what's going on with public health and things like that, and what's coming down from the state.
I know that there was a little bit of pushback from you and your decision to keep the beaches closed. They have now since reopened, but talk a little bit about the importance of the decision behind that.
Yeah, we when things first started happening with COVID, we had to search out real credible information as to how to act and what to do. And I like to say that none of us took a class in college as to how to manage during a pandemic. So trying to find the credible information to help us in our decision making was really important. And I leaned pretty heavily on the Oakland County Health Department and the state. And when the parks in Oakland County were being closed down and their public pools were closed down, we looked at that. We also looked at most of the beaches in Kego are private. So the Cunningham Park, that's the Sylvan condos, those remained open. All of our city parks, which are Hester Park, Fran Leaf, Rose Sorter, they remained open because they're wide open. The two public beaches were very narrow and very small. Ronnie, they're actually smaller than a lot of people's, if you haven't seen them, they're smaller than a lot of people's garages in some ways. But what we did, we thought, for public health, if we were overly cautious, we went that route. And then as things started to reopen, we revisited the decision. And once Oakland County opened up their pools, we changed our course and we opened them back up again.
Mayor Robert Kalman with us from the city of Kego Harbor on the Oakland County Megacast. During the pandemic, another big change that's been in place has been to municipal meetings. They've been moved from in-person meetings to virtual meetings. How do these differ, in your opinion, from standard in-person meetings? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Are you indifferent to the situation?
I have a technology company, and so I'm used to Zoom and WebEx. So for me, it wasn't as big of a change. It didn't take me long to adapt. As some other people. I'm used to the technology. What's interesting, I thought people might be concerned because they wouldn't be able to come to City Hall and engage. The opposite has actually happened, where people are now asking me, once we go back to City Hall with our regular face-to-face in-person meetings, they're asking me to keep the Zoom option available, because people sitting at home, when they're watching on Civic Center TV, they might call in with a question, and we answer questions at the end of the meeting. With Zoom, they're able to use a chat feature, or when I ask for public comments, they're able actually to, have dialogue with us. So I've had quite a few people that have stopped me and asked me to continue. It's funny. Usually when I walk my dog in the evening, it's when I get stopped a lot, and people ask questions and they talk about what's going on in the city. I actually enjoy it. It's a fun, it's a small community, and I know most of the neighbors and just tons of people around here.
Mayor Kalman, does the dynamic of these virtual meetings change the process of taking action on items? Has the City Council had to consider delaying some items until after the pandemic, when they can be back in person for a variety of different reasons, or has it really kept things still in the same similar process, just being done virtually?
I think very similar. Our city attorney, our city manager, the entire council is online with me, and we have good discussions. And so I haven't felt an impact the way some people might have thought. I think it's actually pretty productive.
Mayor Robert Kalman with us on the Oakland County Megacast and our family of TV and radio stations all throughout the area. Mayor, we are coming up on a holiday weekend all throughout the local area, the 4th of July weekend coming up, and we've also seen in the last couple of weeks some spikes in certain areas with public gatherings and with private gatherings of people, seeing some spikes in COVID-19 cases. Any concerns from the city regarding potential gatherings of people for the 4th of July holiday weekend?
Yeah, good question. I'm hopeful that people are going to follow the recommendations that the health department, the CDC, the state health department, Oakland County lays out. And they social distance, and if they're inside, they'll wear a mask inside the restaurant until they go eat. I guess I'm putting faith in the population that you're adults, you're going to make some good, smart decisions. We've seen a couple restaurants in the outer areas in Michigan that they've had an issue. There's one in East Lansing recently, and it traveled to Grosse Pointe. So let's just hope, for the best. And, the bigger issue that we see in Kego Harbor on the 4th is the sandbar issue and the increase in activity when boaters and just people enjoying Cass Lake come out. We just want people to be safe. I'm always, I want people to enjoy themselves. Kego is a very welcoming community, but just be smart in your decision making and be safe.
So kind of piggybacking on that, because the lake is so popular for Kego residents and the people enjoying the sandbar, talk a little bit about the water patrols. Those are still going to be out and, on the water, making sure everyone's being safe.
Yeah. We have, I think a lot of people know in Kego Harbor, we're a small community, but we have a marine patrol. And, we have a couple officers that patrol the lake. Mostly what they're doing is staying close to the Keego Harbor shore and patrolling the sandbar issue. We don't really go out and patrol all of Cass Lake unless there's an emergency. But we've had it for a number of years. And it's really what they're out there for. It's not to be heavy-handed. It's there to be helpful. It's there to support people enjoying a good time. And if things get out of hand, they're there to help out and maintain some composure, if you will, from the people.
I think everyone who goes to the sandbar knows Cote very well, and he is great. Yeah. Officer Cote is great with the public, and he's very engaged with the public. Pretty much everyone knows him, but his rule is if he has to get his feet wet, someone's getting a ticket. So play by the rules, be safe.
Yeah, he's very fair. And so is Officer Clevenger and Officer Shea. We have a couple other people who are out on the boat when he's unavailable. Just listen, be responsible, be a decent human being, and enjoy yourself, but don't piss him off.
So true. And, real quick, as you mentioned, the beaches are very small. Is there going to be a limit on the number of people that kind of set up camp on the beach during the 4th of July weekend?
Yeah, we put up signs, and we listed some guidelines, and I'm just hopeful people are going to follow the guidelines and try and keep the 6 feet distance. And if it's a family out together, I'd say if you have your kids with you, go have a good time. That's what they're there for. But just be respectful of your neighbors.
Mayor Robert Kalman with us, from the city of Keego Harbor on the Oakland County Megacast. Just a couple more minutes with you, Mayor. Anything else you'd like to touch on that we haven't spoken about today, or anything else you have to say?
I'm very thankful. I've got a really good council. I've known most of the people in my city council for a number of years, and we've got a good dynamic. We communicate very well at the meetings, and I'm very thankful also. We work with the West Bloomfield Fire Department, and they provide some really good support, the paramedics and the EMS. One of the things I tried to do when the pandemic hit and we were working remotely, I've invited different people to come talk with our city council so they can give information to the community as to how the different branches of government are helping us. Greg Flynn, our West Bloomfield Fire Chief, it doesn't always come to our meetings. And I'm also a member of the Tri-City Fire Board. I don't know, people may not realize that Orchard Lake Village, Sylvan Lake, Keego Harbor, we formed the Tri-City Fire Board, and we contract collectively with West Bloomfield for fire and EMS service. And so I go to the meetings, and Chief Flynn always has a really strong update for our group. So I wanted him to share that with the people in Keego Harbor and talk about how their paramedics are dealing with how when they respond to a call, things might be a little bit different. We've also had different people come talk to us. I've had from the federal, the state, and county level. Dave Coulter from Oakland County came and talked to us at one of our virtual council meetings as to how the county has been helping small cities and villages during the COVID-19 episode. Brenda Lawrence, our congresswoman, came and spoke to us how the federal government's helping us out. And also we had Brenda Carter, our state rep. So each meeting I try and bring a little different spin, if you will. Spin might not be the right word. It's a little bit extra information and something that would be helpful for the community. Our police chief has been wonderful, and our police officers have been really solid. They're coming up, they're showing up every day and doing their job really effectively. I sound like a kid, but I mean, we just ordered a new police vehicle. I don't know, Ron, if you've seen the pictures, but we changed the graphic image, so people are going to start noticing over the next year a new look for the Keego Harbor Police Department. We went from the old black and white kind of vehicle to something with the American flag and a thin blue line, and it's nice. We went to the Ford vehicle, and so anything we can do to help support the police, we've been doing. I enjoy being on the city council. I think we do. I've been doing it for a while, and being the mayor, there's a little bit of extra responsibility. But like I said, I'm fortunate. The city staff has really, really shown up, and they're doing their job, and they're going above and beyond. And it was a little frightening in the beginning when we didn't know what was happening. The city hall, we closed to everyday entrance, but we're still open We never closed, but we're by appointment. And so I think when people are going to see when we open the doors again for public, and it's happening very soon, some changes in City Hall. There were some markers for social distancing, and we're buying some equipment to help clean the facility a little better. I could go on. I mean, we've got some really, really good things happening. I work with SEMCOG a little bit, and they've had some really nice seminars too to help people in our Parks and Rec Commission. And several of the people were on a conference call with it. I give them a lot of credit. They had Parks and Rec executives from all over Southeast Michigan talking about what they're doing differently to help the community as people re-engage their parks and recreation activities. So they were on the call, our local commission, and they're really trying to find some innovative things for the community to do.
So a couple questions, just talking about Parks and Rec. I know that I believe there is a position that is open on the Parks and Recreation. So talk about the importance of, there are several seats that are open in the city of Keiko Harbor, and the importance of the people in the community to get involved, because they help shape the decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I encourage, we have, there's some seats on our Planning Commission. I think there's an alternate on the Zoning Board. There's some alternates on the Parks and Rec. And the Cable Commission also, that helps interact with Civic Center TV. There's a couple seats open. Most people don't realize that when you're on the city council, it's largely volunteer for all the city council members. It's $100 a year. You don't do it for the money, that's for sure. You don't do it for any, you do it to help your community, and we rely on our volunteers to help out, and especially in the Planning Commission, where they help make land use decisions and they make recommendations to the city council, and our Zoning Board, which looks at variances that you want to get when you want to build a new home or expand your home, or a new business comes in that needs a variance. So I'd encourage everybody to get involved. We're always looking for good people that want to help out, and
So one last question from me, just to talk about how Keiko residents have been supportive of law enforcement, helping to pass the millage a few years ago. What is your take on this whole movement around defunding the police?
Yeah, I've had some good conversations with the officers. We're a small city, so all the officers, I know them, and we talk, and we're so fortunate. I mean, our officers really they're good quality people. We're a small city with a very small budget, so I tell you right now, we're not defunding our police department. So that's just not happening. If anything, I'd like to find more revenue to help increase the training, which I can offer them. And I know we just invested in a virtual academy, so we can give these guys some help. And there's some other people who've contacted me about how to, engage with some different types of inclusive training and things of that nature. If anything, I'd like to find more money to help increase the training, help increase our equipment level. It's been it's a community policing. We're small. When our officers drive by, a lot of cases, the residents know them by name, and our officers know the residents by name. It's one of the benefits of being in a small community. I mean, if you call dispatch, 911 for emergencies, we have of course, an officer who mans our desk. Detective Barnes mans the desk. Most of the time, your response is going to be within 30 seconds if you get a call in Keiko Harbor. And so, I mean, if anything, I'm looking for ways to be helpful for them. And I think the residents really appreciate them. And that's my take on it. So.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today, Mayor Kalman from the city of Keiko Harbor.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Mayor Robert Kalman, the mayor of the city of Keiko Harbor, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. We're going to take a short break. When we return, we have Erica Jones out in the field, and later on in the program, we'll speak with Brooke Taylor about an upcoming event in West Bloomfield. And to cap off the show, we'll talk sports with Woody Woodriffe from Fox 2 Detroit. That coming up and more on the Oakland County Megacast on our family of TV and radio stations.
Coronavirus has put us to the test. Now it's time to put it to the test. We've greatly expanded testing in Michigan. So people who think they may have COVID-19 with symptoms like fever, cough, and shortness of breath can get tested. And those without symptoms who work in public can now get tested. as they could carry the virus. Start by calling your healthcare provider or contacting a testing site near you. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus test. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Technology like smartphones are wonderful devices to reduce social isolation in older adults. You can call grandchildren, phone friends, participate in fitness classes, and play games. But you need to stay mindful of scams. Scams related to the COVID-19 virus are rising. These include attempts to obtain personal information from seniors, including pitching unreliable products, advice, tests, and cures. You need to stay vigilant and be cautious. If you feel that you have been taken advantage of, it's okay for you to reach out to somebody you know and seek out advice, or even contact your medical provider. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast on our family of TV and radio stations on Civic Center TV and Birmingham Area Municipal Access, Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. On the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH The Biff, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. Today we're also joined by the West Bloomfield Clerk's Office. West Bloomfield Township Clerk's Office is our Facebook partner today. We thank them for joining us throughout today's edition of the Oakland County Megacast on Facebook Live. Always a pleasure to be with their wonderful audience, and we encourage you, as always, to fill out your U.S. Census form. If you have not filled that out yet, you can do it by mail. You can do it over the internet, and pretty soon people are going to start canvassing for that again. It's still a little ways away, but you can fill it out online. It takes about 10 minutes to fill out for you and your entire family, and it helps our local municipalities with funding for the next 10 years from the federal government. So a lot going on in the local area, Ronnie. People are going back out into nature, going back out into the community as they come out of their quarantine. The weather's beautiful now, and with gyms closed, people are trying to find new ways of exercising and getting out and being active, and one of the ways that they're doing that is by biking. And we have Erica Jones out in the field at one of our local bike shops in Waterford. Erica, what are you seeing out there?
Hey, Tyler. Well, first of all, it is a gorgeous day outside today. I can barely keep my eyes open. But yeah, I'm at D&D Bicycles in Waterford on Pooley Lake Road. And I was able to go inside the store. Unfortunately, we were not able to do a report from within the store or get someone to speak with us on camera. But I got the opportunity to speak with a nice sales associate, and she told me that their sales have been absolutely crazy this year, completely surpassing any other year, because like you said, you know, what else do people have to do? You can't go to gyms. So people have definitely been getting more into bike riding. I probably should. I can't ride a bike, but yeah, it's been very popular. She said kids' bikes were going first, then women's bikes. And she said at this point, people are just trying to buy anything they can to be able to go ride a bike outside. And she also told me that, you know, they're not running out. They still have inventory, but at this point, it's very, very slim pickings. And I even saw that while I was inside. You know, the racks weren't empty, but definitely a lot of blank spaces where they would normally have full stock of bikes.
Erica, back up here for a second. You said you can't ride a bike? You mean you really don't know how to ride a bike?
You know, when I was younger, I loved riding a bike. I would ride my bike to school, anything I could do. But I had a bad mountain biking experience when I was on a Western trip a few years back, and I have not been able to get back on a bike since. I'm like a 5-year-old little girl again. Can't do it.
So you have a fear. So maybe while you're there, you should shop for a new bike, maybe just a beach cruiser type bike, so that you can get back on the two wheels and start rolling again.
You know, maybe. I think I'm going to stick to 4 wheels with a car for now. I'm terrified.
So it's still pretty early.
That's my confession.
So it's still pretty early in the day, Erica, but when you were in there, did you see people inside the store? Was there a lot of people there looking for a bicycle to get back out and active into the local area?
Yeah, well, they actually just opened at 11, and I walked in around 11:06 or so. So there wasn't a lot of people in there yet, but definitely throughout the day, even in the few minutes I've been standing outside, I've seen cars pull up and people head inside. So people are eager to get outside and buy bikes, especially on a gorgeous day like today.
It sure sounds like it. Erica Jones out at D&D Bicycles in Waterford. Anything else from out in the field that we should know, Erica?
Not much. Again, like I said, a great day to get outside. And I would recommend, if you need a bike, still come out here because they are not completely out of stock. They do have options for people to buy.
Well, thank you for that report. Erica Jones out in the field with us. Erica, our field reporter here at the Oakland County Megacast. We're going to take another just quick break, and when we return, we'll be joined by Brooke Taylor, a U of M student, a West Bloomfield High School graduate, and one of the organizers for Drive Through for Justice, which will be happening tomorrow in West Bloomfield. That coming up and more on the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Ronnie Dahl. We'll be back after this short break.
Michigan, we still need to stay careful. Because we don't want to go backwards. Back to where we started. So keep standing 6 feet apart. Keep wearing a mask in public. And if you have symptoms, talk to a healthcare provider about getting tested. To move forward, let's all do our part. So stay careful. Michigan.gov/coronavirus.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Ronnie Dahl on a family of TV and radio stations on outlets including 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. We're also on television, Civic Center TV and Birmingham Area Municipal Access. Both of those stations on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. You can also watch Civic Center TV online in high definition on civiccentertv.com. Click on Watch Live on our homepage, or go civiccentertv.com/watch-live. We're also on the Facebook Live page of the West Bloomfield Township Clerk's Office today, them joining us throughout the entirety of our show, and we thank West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder and her entire team over at the clerk's office for joining us today on the program. So the month of June, I think, can be characterized, Ronnie, by, of course, the pandemic continuing on, but even more so, and I think more importantly to this month specifically, has been movements for social justice and conversations being started on really important topics regarding how we address race in our country, in our society, and systemic racism, and more importantly, how are we going to work toward a solution to those problems? And joining us now on the program to talk about an event that's hoping to raise more awareness and continue that conversation is Brooke Taylor. She is a University of Michigan student, and I won't hold that against her as a Spartan. She's also a West Bloomfield High School graduate and one of the co-organizers for Drive Through for Justice, which will be happening at West Bloomfield High School this week. Brooke, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on with us. How are you? How is your family? How have you been doing during the pandemic?
It's been crazy, but I'm doing well. My family's good, and we're making it.
That's good to hear. So you're a student at U of M. So just to start off on that, how did your learning experience, especially adjusting to the college life going into your first year at U of M, change with the pandemic?
Well, I'm a dance major at the University of Michigan, so I have taken so many technique classes, and I've just been rehearsing with my peers, and it's a lot of contact. We even have classes entitled Contact Improvisation. So when COVID happened, it was like, we have performances. We didn't even get to perform yet for the community. We were going to perform in a hospital. We were going to perform at elementary schools, and it all just stopped. So all of our hard work and just learning dances stopped, and we had to go home, and it's just been no dancing, not seeing my friends, and it's been really hard.
We've talked to a lot of high school teachers and administrators in the local area. We've talked to our own Erica Jones on our team about her experiences at the University of Miami, at Miami, and it's been different for everybody. It's been tougher for some. It's been easier for others. It's been weird for a lot of people. Your thoughts on virtual learning? Has it been tougher than in-person learning, easier, or just different?
Well, virtual learning is hard, especially when you're a dancer, because you don't get to be corrected. When you're trying to dance, the music isn't always played at the same time. It's really hard because I'm so used to being in a huge classroom, really being motivated and inspired by my peers around me. And without having that and like dancing by myself with a screen, it's just really hard to adjust and learn the same way. And my love of dance, it's still there, but it's definitely different virtually.
Brooke Taylor with us on the Oakland County Megacast, all across the Oakland County area on our family of TV and radio stations. So keeping up with what's going on right now in terms of the pandemic, what you're seeing from throughout the country, throughout the state of Michigan, some spikes here and there. Do you believe that you'll be back on campus and back in class in the fall?
Yes, Michigan just sent out an email saying that we will be back. And although dance might look a little different because we're all touching the bars, so we might be in a mask and some gloves, but we'll definitely be back in the fall.
Well, that is good news, and we'll definitely keep up with that on our family of stations here on the show going forward, with Michigan planning to be back on campus in the fall. So, Brooke, you're also one of the co-organizers of a local event coming up tomorrow at West Bloomfield High School called Drive Through for Justice. Tell us a little bit about what that program is going to be all about.
Yes, so I was inspired to create Drive In for Justice after attending a drive-in for a church service, and it was just so inspiring and motivating hearing all the cars honk in unison. And I was like, I can do this in a different aspect if I do it in reference to Black Lives Matter. I remember seeing the video of George Floyd. The first time I saw it, I just sat in my bed, and my whole body was paralyzed, and I was shocked, and I was crying. And I was really hurt. And after I saw the protests break out, my mom was like, you have a 90-year-old grandmother at home, and you can't protest because we can't risk having COVID in our house because elderly people are the most susceptible to COVID. So I wanted to create a program that would really account for people who have underlying health conditions, people like my grandma who would love to protest but really can't risk it, and people like myself, because I know peers of mine and just younger kids that are afraid to protest and stand up and use their voice but really can't due to just being in such close proximity when you protest. So this was my way to use my voice and create unison in the West Bloomfield community. It's a safe event. You just drive in and honk your car for applause, and it's going to be great, I think.
Brooke Taylor with us, one of the organizers for Drive Through for Justice on our family of TV and radio stations.
Brooke, what's so great about this is you're young, but you're being innovative and still addressing a concern and a passion that's so close to so many people. How exactly is this going to work, and how can people get involved?
Well, you can tune in because CCTV has been so really great to just help us with these events. So they'll be radio streaming it and video streaming it. So I'm so blessed to have them be a part of it. But the event is tomorrow. Parking starts at 6 and the event will start at 6:30. All you have to do is come, find a parking spot, and you'll be directed to look directly at the stage. And there's going to be a variety of things, including a history synopsis. You're going to hear from a police officer. You'll see performances. And you can also donate to the Equal Justice Initiative through our Cash App or our Venmo, and it's the $ Drive In for Justice. And Equal Justice Initiative is an organization that is so dedicated to helping people who are most vulnerable in American society, whether it's to racial injustice, economic injustice, or mass incarceration.
So what do you hope is the result of this event in the community? What do you hope that the people of West Bloomfield and the surrounding areas that attend this event, that listen to this event and watch this event on our stations on 89.3 FM and on Civic Center TV, what message do you hope that they receive from this, and what action maybe do you hope that they take afterward to continue the learning forward?
Really, I want this event to just let people realize that the West Bloomfield community, like, we can create change by just coming together and being united. So what I really hope that I at least touch one person, whether that's a change in mindset, and I want the police officer will talk about police reform and what's being done in the West Bloomfield community, because although we may have not seen as many deaths here, it's still happening. And we too can show our support and our fight for Black Lives Matter.
So what would you say to any other person that is out there, young or old, that may come up with a thought of doing something like this, but getting it from that ideal stage into actually happening stage probably took a lot of work for you to do it and then to actually see it happen? What were those steps and what advice would you give to other people?
Well, I remember after attending the church service, there was just like I just kept thinking about it and I couldn't sleep at night. I was like having dreams about something. So the next day I called my counselor, my former counselor, Miss Tompkins from West Bloomfield High School. And I said, I have a crazy vision and you tell me what you think about it. So I'd say really, if you think you have a crazy vision or a crazy idea, act on it. Don't sit on it, because if you do, you're going to regret that you didn't do it. And I'm just so happy that she said that that's not a crazy idea and let's get this on the roll. So I'm really blessed to have her.
Brooke Taylor with us, one of the co-organizers of Drive Through for Justice, with us on the Oakland County Megacast, on our family of TV and radio outlets all throughout the area, as well as on Facebook, on the Facebook page of the West Bloomfield Township Clerk's Office. So, Brooke, beyond the event, and really just in the general spirit of the message behind this event, how can we as a community continue that conversation for lasting positive change, raise our social awareness for these critical issues in our society, and work together to make these positive changes going forward?
Well, growing up, I remember my mom always saying, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, purple, or green. You always have a story. And I feel like in order to have these uncomfortable conversations, we just have to not be afraid to say the wrong thing. Because if you say the wrong thing, you can be educated and change that. You can correct that ignorance and turn it into something positive. And I think the problem with problems like this is that we're too afraid to have conversations with people who might not look like us. And it's just important that we all realize that we can all join together and be united together. That doesn't matter what skin color you are. We can all be together.
Indeed. Brooke Taylor with us, the co-organizer for Drive Through for Justice. Just a couple more minutes with you before we got to let you go. Anything else you'd like to say, or anything else we haven't touched on about the event, or just in general that you'd like to speak on before we let you go?
No, I just thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it. And just, if you can come, please do, and it's going to be great.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today, Brooke.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Brooke Taylor, one of the co-organizers for Drive Through for Justice, tomorrow night at West Bloomfield High School. You can pull in at 6 o'clock, get in your parking space, get settled in for the program, which will begin at 6:30. You'll be able to listen to it and watch it on Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15, AT&T Channel 99. For those of you that don't have Comcast or AT&T, you can watch it on civiccentertv.com. You'll click on Watch Live. You can do that on your computer. You can do that on your tablet. You can do that on a phone. And for those of you with a smart TV, you can also do that there. And on top of that, you can listen to us on 89.3 Lakes FM and online at lakesfm.com. We'll have the entirety of that event live on our stations. We are very much busy planning that out for tomorrow, and we'll have that for you. And Ronnie, a great community event that popped up really suddenly, and looks like it's going to be a very profound night of conversation between people in our community.
I am so impressed with Brooke. This is the first time I've actually virtually met her. I am so impressed. I mean, she's so young, but she's taking this and making it happen. But on top of that, she said something that was so profound in that, is that if we don't start having these uncomfortable conversations, then we can't educate ourselves and move beyond. And so an event like this will do just that. But also there is a big issue about the protest and COVID-19. While a lot of people are wearing masks at these protests, they are not being socially distanced, and you're taking that risk of spreading COVID home. So it is keeping a lot of people, such as Brooke and members of her family, from joining in on the conversation. So this is amazing to me.
It is, and it's amazing to me also. Just the idea of, well, we want people to social distance, but we want them to be active. And I participated in this church service where we'd honk to agree, or we'd do a call and response from inside our cars. Maybe we're able to do the same thing, and we have such great media outlets, and not to toot our own horn, in our local area that would be able to help us with that, so people can sit in their cars, and it's going to be a slight delay of a couple of seconds because it takes all that to get out to the radio, but they're going to be there and be able to participate and be able to see and watch a conversation being had, and it sparks that conversation. I did like what she said also, and as you touched on, that we have to be uncomfortable with this, and we have to have a willingness to listen to other people, to hear people's stories, and on top of that, to be introspective with the messages also, and realize how we've been wrong and what we need to change personally, everybody, so that we can continue to have these conversations productively, and more importantly, take the action that's necessary.
What you hope that comes out of this is not just the protests, but we start to move beyond the protests to have policy change and to have real change. And you can't just put in a policy through words. You have to change it through hearts. And I think you do that one-on-one. So an event like this, maybe someone's going to hear from the police officer and they had a different perception of what it's like to be a police officer. So maybe then they come to an event like this, they have a real conversation, a real opportunity to see the full picture and a different picture from a different perspective. And then that gets people involved, because it's not enough to protest. We have to take it a step further. Get involved, join the police force, become a judge, become an elected leader, volunteer with your local community on various entities, because it's through that engagement and that involvement that we can change hearts and policies as well.
Absolutely. Very well said, Ronnie. So we're going to take a short break. We'll come back again. We'll go through the top headlines of the day, and then to cap off the show today, we'll be speaking with Woody Woodriffe, the sports anchor, one of the sports anchors from Fox 2 Detroit. That coming up on the Oakland County Megacast. You're watching and listening to us all throughout the Oakland County area. Ronnie and I will be back after this break.
Michigan, we're calling on you to save lives. Don't ignore it. Don't let it go to voicemail. It's urgent. In fact, it's critical. Because if you've been in close contact with someone who tests positive for COVID-19, you may have been exposed to the virus. And you could get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department. So please answer the call to learn how to protect yourself, your family, and friends. We're calling on you to stop the spread of COVID-19, to make it safe to reopen businesses and help Michigan move forward. So if you get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department, you may have been exposed to someone with COVID-19. To protect us all, answer the call. Learn more at michigan.gov/containcovid. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Coronavirus has put us to the test. Now it's time to put it to the test. We've greatly expanded testing in Michigan. So people who think they may have COVID-19 with symptoms like fever, cough, and shortness of breath can get tested. And those without symptoms who work in public can now get tested, as they could carry the virus. Start by calling your healthcare provider or contacting a testing site near you. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus test. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonae Khaldun. I'm the Chief Medical Executive for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. The people who are at highest risk of getting severely ill from COVID-19 are the elderly and those with chronic medical conditions. That includes people with heart disease, diabetes, COPD, or those who have compromised immune systems. People who are in those categories should right now be staying at home as much as possible and not going out if it is not essential. If you fit into one of those categories, those are the things you should do. And if you have a family member who fits into one of those categories, you should be checking in on them and making sure they are following those guidelines. There's something everyone can do to protect the community from COVID-19.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast on a family of TV and radio stations all throughout the Oakland County area, on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99 on Civic Center TV, and on Birmingham area Municipal Access. We're also on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. Today, also on Facebook via Facebook Live with the West Bloomfield Township Clerk's Office, reminding you, as always, throughout this pandemic, to fill out your U.S. Census if you haven't already. It won't take very long. It takes about 10 minutes to fill it out. You can do so online, and if you have any questions about that process, feel free to contact your local clerk, whether that be in West Bloomfield or any of our other municipalities all throughout the local area. And for up-to-date news on COVID-19, you can go to our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, where we have all of today's top COVID-19 and other related headlines. So here we go. We'll click on coronavirus. We're at the top page of our homepage. And making news today, cities unanimously vote to cancel the 2020 Woodward Dream Cruise. Cities that have usually hosted the cruise on August 15th have unanimously decided to cancel the event. While official sponsorship of the show has been canceled by the municipalities, it is likely that people will still go ahead with the event in an unofficial basis. The Woodward Dream Cruise has typically brought in over 1 million spectators along the 10-mile stretch of Woodward Avenue. Many other community events have already been canceled in an attempt to reduce crowding and congregation to combat COVID-19. Michigan parents say coronavirus measures are great, but don't stop sports. Reports show that Michigan parents want stringent safety measures in place at schools, but do not want playgrounds roped off or sports to be canceled. A U of M study indicated that 75% of parents want daily temperature screenings, 64% want fewer children on buses, 63% want a mix of in-class and virtual learning, and 59% supported staggered arrival and departure times for students. Only 30% supported closing playground equipment, and only 27% supported eliminating extracurricular activities such as sports and music. Governor Gretchen Whitmer is expected later on this week to release her Return to Learn plan off of the suggestions of the Michigan Return to Learn Council. We had Tanya Allen on the show last week to talk about that and their process, and you can find that on civiccentertv.com/megacast. We have our full episodes, short clips, and full interviews on our website, and you have access to those 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at civiccentertv.com. So parents would like to have their kids have stringent policies in place for their kids returning to schools in the fall, but they don't want to get rid of sports. No one wants to get rid of sports. We've had our sports removed from us for all of these months throughout the pandemic, and to talk about that and the return of some sports in the near future, we're joined now by Fox 2 Detroit's sports anchor Woody Woodriffe on the program. Woody, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to have you with us. How are you? How's your team at Fox 2 been?
You know what? I have not really seen the team at Fox 2 in quite a few months because I've been working from home since about March. So it has been difficult, but everyone is getting along and everybody's trying to stay healthy.
One of the first things to go away during the pandemic was sports. They're slowly coming back. The Major League Baseball is going to have a shortened season. The NBA is scheduled to revamp their season in Orlando at the end of the month. The NHL is planning a 24-team playoff. Will sports ever be the same after this has passed, or has this changed the landscape of American and even international sports forever?
I would have to say the short answer is no, it will not be the same. I mean, the normal ways of doing business that we used to go through in sports are going to have to be changed radically with COVID-19 and social distancing and things like that. So we're still trying to figure out how it's going to go, where we interact with players or, things like that. But in the meantime, we're just trying to get through. There are international sports like soccer, things are going on that have fans and, are trying to move forward. There's golf going on right now, and I believe they are going to perhaps start to relax that, but I don't think it'll be in time for the Rocket Mortgage Classic at the Detroit Golf Club. But the world will be different when we do get the okay for competitive sports to come back and really play. I mean, everybody's trying to get their season together, but I'm still skeptical on how seasons are going to be played with the protocols in place that you need to offset COVID-19.
I'm kind of concerned about that as well, particularly with the NBA going back into operations in Florida and Orlando in the coming weeks. And there's already been some concerns from players just on the topic of social justice and whether or not this is the right time to be playing basketball and if that takes away from the messages. And then with COVID-19 seeing a major spike in Florida in the last several weeks, there are a lot of players who have already decided that for the sake of their families, including former Detroit Piston Avery Bradley, now of the Los Angeles Lakers, deciding that they're going to back out. Do you believe the NBA season with the recent spike is in jeopardy of potentially not happening?
No, I don't think so, because if you do go into the quarantine bubble in Orlando, I have to think that the NBA is going to try and do the most to keep you safe while you're in that bubble. So, as teams win and lose, teams will get ejected from that bubble, for lack of a better term, as they lose. So I have to think that the NBA is doing it in a responsible way. They're also giving players the opportunity to opt in or opt out. And as you mentioned, there are some players who have chosen to opt out, and more power to them, because you can't say what's right or what's wrong in this kind of thing. I mean, it's a matter of how you feel and how much risk you're willing to take in a situation where there are tons of unknowns.
Woody Woodriffe with us, one of the sports anchors at Fox 2 Detroit, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. And on that note, a lot of these players that are apprehensive about going there have already opted out, and teams are signing players to bring in as replacements to fill out their rosters. And on top of that, the NBA is also considering allowing players to change their jerseys to allow to have social justice messages potentially on their jerseys during this. And we've seen the different commissioners in all these leagues. We've seen Rob Manfred, Roger Goodell, Gary Bettman, and in the case of the NBA, Adam Silver handle these situations completely differently in each of these leagues. Do you believe that Adam Silver is doing the best job out of these four commissioners in terms of reading the room, understanding the times, but also doing whatever is possible to continue the operations of basketball?
I would have to agree with you on that statement. I believe that Adam Silver is doing the best job right now. He has his finger on the pulse of the players. He has his finger on the pulse of the communities that are affected by this. And he's got a plan in place to restart his league with considerations for all of that. I mean, the idea that players can have messages on jerseys, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's a player's platform. Let them, say what they want to say on that platform. So the NBA is showing that they're obviously 100% behind the players, and they're also in the corner of reforms for racial equality and things like that, because I don't see that much. In baseball, Rob Manfred has imposed basically a season. I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth with contracts and who's going to get paid what and prorated salaries. That seems to take more of the oxygen out of the room than talking about, hey, you have a platform for, a chance to talk about equality and things like that. I mean, we've heard baseball players talk about these scenes in Boston at Fenway Park. Mm-hmm. Specifically, former Tiger Torrey Hunter talked about his experiences there. So obviously there needs to be some changes, and baseball needs to address a lot of that. In the NFL, I think that Roger Goodell is trying. But I think that Roger Goodell is also up against his bosses, the owners. And, you have to remember that all these commissioners work for the owners. So, it's difficult to walk a fine line, but I got to think that Adam Silver is the guy who's successfully navigating that tightrope right now.
He's been doing a fantastic job and just localizing the return of the NBA. The Detroit Pistons will not be in Orlando. They are not going to be continuing their season or have a potential for getting into the expanded playoff. But they did make some news recently. They finally filled that long vacant slot in their general manager position, hiring Troy Weaver from within the Oklahoma City Thunder organization. Your thoughts on the hire of Troy Weaver? Why him, and why now? Is this a good fit for the Detroit Pistons?
Well, I'll be honest with you, this is a perfect fit. Troy Weaver is a fantastic get. The Pistons had been looking at him not just this year, but last year as well, and they did not get permission from Oklahoma City to talk to him. So now that they have been able to talk to him and bring him in as the general manager, the sky is the limit for what this guy can do with his team. I mean, everybody talks about how he was one of the guys who brought in Russell Westbrook and then turned around and brought in Steven Adams for Oklahoma City. So when you have that level of competency at the general manager spot, then I have to think that the Pistons are in line for some positives, because let's also look at what this does. The hiring of Troy Weaver, along with head coach Dwayne Casey, gives the Pistons a diverse ownership group, something that the NBA has been looking for and lacking in other areas. So now that you have a black general manager, a black head coach here in Detroit, it seems that the Pistons are taking the lead in that diversity challenge in the NBA by making hires like this, and effective hires. So it's not just a token representation. I mean, Troy Weaver comes in with a full resume, ready to go. The only issue I have with Troy Weaver is, will ownership keep their hands off long enough for Troy to do his job? Because you know how it gets. Once things start to get good, a lot of fingers start to dip into the pie. So if we leave Troy Weaver alone, I think that he can turn this team around, starting with job number one, which will be finding a point guard, whether he finds that in the NBA draft or goes into the league to find an existing point guard. That's something that has to be at the top of the list for the Detroit Pistons.
It absolutely is. Woody Woodriffe with us from Fox 2 Detroit. He's one of their sports anchors. And just on the note of Troy Weaver, he's coming in with basically a blank canvas that's got a lot of pieces to work with. You got Derrick Rose's expiring contract. A lot of contending teams want to pick him up. You got young guys on the squad that are were second-round picks that were developing, like Svi Mikhailou and Bruce Brown. You have young talent like Sekou Doumbouya, who's still going to be there, and potential movable picks like players like Blake Griffin, who, with his contract, it's probably not likely that a team wants to go all in for him. But maybe down the line, there's a contender and he's healthy that wants to take a risk and pick him up.
I was going to say that Blake Griffin comment seems a bit far-fetched right now, because I don't think that Detroit will be looking to move him. But the other thing that they have to take care of is signing Christian Wood. I mean, he stepped up last year and showed that he can, hold his own here in this league and contribute with points and defense. So he would be a priority as far as getting signed as well. We had some Zoom conversations over the last couple of weeks with Blake Griffin and with Luke Kennard. And Luke Kennard is a specific case, because he says he wants to be more of a leader type of his team and wants to contribute more. He was ready to come back when the season was halted. So, there's a lot of attitude adjustment for the positive with the Pistons as they move forward. And Troy Weaver coming in and adding to that can only help this team, because let's be honest, the shorter the rebuild goes, the better off fans will be if they can get a product back on the court that's competitive.
And I think for the first time in a long time, the Pistons have a whole lot of hope behind them that they haven't had, and that's good news for the fan base. So Woody, just another minute with you before we have to let you go. Baseball is also going to be back, shortened season, about 60 games, with the youth on the Tigers roster and the talent that they have in terms of veteran leadership, and with the coaching they have in terms of Ron Gardenhire and his team. Do you think a shorter season benefits to the Detroit Tigers, and could this be a surprise team for people this year?
That is the million-dollar question. Can any team make a run in 60 games? Yeah. I mean, any team can, including the Tigers. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that, hey, Detroit has a chance. Everybody has a chance. The thing is that what will we see? I mean, let's be honest. You're only probably going to see like maybe 8 or 10 starts from starting pitchers. So, it's really going to be something where you have to hit the ground running. There's going to be a second spring training going on, so guys can get together like that. But the other thing is the rosters. You'll have 30 guys on the team. You'll also have another 30-man like taxi squad, so 60 guys. Will they be able to stay safe with the coronavirus? Will their close proximity be a detriment? These are all questions that still need to come out, and I still don't know how it's going to work out, because that is the number one thing. I mean, I applaud Governor Whitmer in her last executive order that brings it closer together to get competitive sports playing again, but still, you're going to have to deal with social distancing. You're going to have to deal with a lot of things that are still up in the air. So, right now there are sports going on, but as far as on the field sports, I'm still skeptical.
Well, Woody, thank you very much for being with us today. We appreciate having you on.
Thank you. I wish that we really had some time to talk about the Red Wings and the way they got hammered in the NHL draft lottery. That was terrible. Let me just say that, okay? The way the Red Wings got dealt in the draft lottery was horrible, dropping down to the worst possible position at number 4, okay? And then watching a current playoff team be able to get the number 1 pick. This is garbage. Chaos ensues in the NHL. And I'll tell you right now, a buddy of mine said it best. If Pittsburgh winds up getting Alexis Lafreniere, I'm done with hockey.
Oh, yeah. Big problems coming up. Woody, thank you very much for being with us. That is going to do it with our show. We are just slightly over time, and we thank you for being with us today. Alongside Ronnie Dahl, I'm Tyler Kieft. The Megacast returns tomorrow.